PC version of it. And I wondered, and I think Sean took up the gauntlet and actually decided to test it. Well, would Adobe Photoshop for Windows run faster on a Mac running Windows emulation software like Parallels or in Boot Camp, or would it run faster on the Mac in Rosetta, which is the emulation that Apple provides to make those old PowerPC programs run better on Intel? So, what's the best way, in other words, to run Photoshop on a new Intel Mac? We have the numbers, and the answer may surprise you. As long as we're talking about feeds, Merlin Mann is here. He's my favorite productivity guru from 43folders.com, and he's going to talk to you about a new way to use feeds, RSS feeds. It's 3 new things you can do with your RSS feeds. All of this should be
That's going to be
lot
interesting.
of fun. I just, you know, what the best part about doing this show is I am learning along with you. I learned so much in this show. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. Good night, everybody. Oh, no, we should take some calls, shouldn't we?
We probably
We should take some calls. Who's our first caller today?
Jabulani is on the webcam from East Windsor, New Jersey.
Hey, Jabulani.
Hey, Leo, how are you? My hero.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay.
All
I listened
right.
to you at your new radio show. I've been listening to that from the West Coast. I also used to look at you on Call for Help and the Screensavers.
Well,
And I'm so
Jabulani.
sorry that we don't get that down here in New Jersey anymore.
Not half as sorry as I am, Jabulani. Hey, I love your shirt. Wait a minute. Sit up now so we can all see that great Hawaiian shirt you're wearing.
Oh, yeah, I love Hawaii, too.
That is beautiful. We were just talking about how great Hawaii is. Basil loves Hawaii, don't you, Basil? Yeah, he's a big fan of Hawaii. Well, that's great. What can we do for you, Jabulani?
Well, what I'm trying to do in the next couple of months, I want to get a high-end computer, and I've been looking at the Pro Mac, and I've been looking at Alien, where I've been looking at the Falcon and the also the Dell XPX series.
I was going to suggest, if you're looking at a high-end Windows machine, my favorite right now is the XPS 700. But let's talk about really the fundamental choice, which is Mac or Windows, right?
Right.
Then, if you decide Windows, well, you'll have to narrow it down among a variety of manufacturers. If you choose Mac, there's only one manufacturer. In fact, if there's really anything wrong with Mac, it is the fact that Apple's the only company that makes them. So they set the price. There's no price competition. You can't go down the street and get a better deal. That's what it costs. That gives them an advantage, too, though, because they make all the hardware. One of the reasons I'm convinced, one of the reasons Windows sometimes seems less reliable than a Macintosh is not because Windows XP or the new Windows Vista is inherently less reliable, but because the hardware it's running on, I think, often is substandard. There's such pressure in the PC world to keep prices low. There's such competition. That's good for consumers, but sometimes what they do, I think, is cut corners. So you have motherboards that are subpar, maybe a little bit flaky. We've heard that story of the capacitors last year that were substandard that really caused some reliability problems. It's very hard to track down. Is it Windows' fault? Is it the hardware's fault? Who knows? But I'm just I am of the general suspicion that one of the reasons Macs are more reliable, and I think they are, well, except for the latest round of MacBooks, which had some quality control issues, but in general, is because the hardware is, you know, this is it. Apple prescribes the hardware. They're able to charge a little bit more. They're able to use a little bit better hardware.
Well, I've been reading a lot. I've read almost everything on the web, and every conclusion that I've come to is that the Mac is a better computer.
I think it is. A lot of this also, though, to be fair, depends on what you're going to be doing with it.
Video editing, I want to make some movies. Every time I try making movies on my PC, it takes me forever. I wait all night till it renders, and from what I've heard, it's much easier to make movies with the Mac, and especially the Mac Pro, which is all the reviews and things that I've seen on the Mac Pro. It's a fantastic machine.
I just bought a Mac Pro, and I can vouch for that. I'm really impressed with it. Now, this is good, though, because Sean Carruthers does a video podcast, Lab Rats. You do a lot of editing. You do a lot of compression. You do it on, you have your choice of Mac and Windows. You do it on?
I do it on Mac.
Really?
I
See, I thought you were going to say Premiere. You use a Mac.
I'm using Mac, and I'm using Final Cut Pro.
And why is that?
I just like the interface of Final Cut Pro. I find
But you're a
Premiere
Windows guy.
baffling.
We should say you've long-time Windows guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've used both, and I just find Final Cut Pro is a lot easier to get into and to use. And I'm using the G5 for rendering at the moment, so it is a little bit slower. I actually
You want a Mac Pro.
I want a Mac Pro. I'm getting better render times out of my notebook at this point.
Let's ask Callie Lewis. She does a video podcast, something you might have heard of, a little geekbrief.tv. What should he get, Mac or Windows?
I'd definitely say Mac because for video editing, it's definitely a lot
I think
faster.
there's no question.
I
Yeah.
think we're all in agreement at the moment.
You just bought a Mac Pro. You haven't got it
Yes.
yet. You'll get it when you get home,
Yes, I
right?
can't wait. Can we leave now?
I'll
Now,
tell you,
one
that
other
Mac
thing
Pro
should
is
I
a...
wait for the new operating system and
No.
or just
No.
go ahead and
If it
get
were
it now?
Windows, that would be actually a reasonable response. Vista's so close. We're only a couple of months off, and Vista is such a big difference. And it's so much easier to buy a new computer with a new operating system on it.
Oh, no, not Vista. I mean,
I know what you're saying, Jabulani. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if it were Windows, I'd say yes. But on a Mac, no. We don't. First of all, we don't know when Leopard's coming out. It's probably not till the spring. And
Right.
and truthfully, a Mac operating system upgrade is a much simpler job than a Windows system upgrade. Okay, so it's not going to be the big deal that it is sometimes on Windows to make the big jump to the next version. You will want to go to Leopard, from what I've seen of it. It's very impressive.
Oh yeah, I've seen the stuff also. And
Now,
it does,
and here
especially
this might be the deciding factor. On my Mac Pro, I run Parallels, which is an $80 program, allows me to run Windows or Linux or any other PC operating system. Vista and XP run so fast on my Mac Pro, they actually run faster than they do on my shuttle PC running an AMD FX64. They're faster in emulation. I don't even feel like I have to choose between Windows and Mac. I bought one piece of hardware, happens to be a very high-end, very powerful machine, and it runs both. So I feel like I've got the best of both worlds with the Mac Pro. Frankly, that's why I ended up getting it. Now, I put a lot of memory in it. You need at least 2 gigs of RAM to run Windows and OS 10 at the same
right. That's
time.
what I was looking to get. 2 gigs
2
of
gigs,
RAM.
yep.
And the 3 gig processor.
Yeah, I didn't get the 3 gig, and I think the 266 is enough. You pay a lot more to go a little bit faster on the 3 gig. So unless you're made of money,
No.
no one's made of money. Even Bill Gates isn't made of money.
No.
Unless money's no object, I think the 266, that would be my guess. Did you get the 266, Callie?
Yeah.
I think it's because I told you to.
Yeah. I
So that's
think
not
I did
fair.
whatever you told me to do.
But it's a big jump from
I
266
agree
to
with you.
3. It's a huge
Absolutely.
jump in price, but not such a huge jump in speed, I think.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Sean?
But that's what I'll be getting when I
Yeah.
move over.
I think that, buying the very fastest of anything is always an extra premium price. It's always best to buy the second next from the top,
Okay.
right? So Jabulani, 2 gigabytes, 2.66 gigahertz processor. I personally bought the smallest Mac hard drive they offered and then added my own 10,000 RPM hard drives. I like those Western Digital Raptors. It's very easy to add a hard drive to the Mac Pro. And frankly, I got a better deal by buying my own hard drives, so I just got the 160 or whatever it was. I think
Oh,
it's
and you added
250.
the 10,000. That hard drive.
And you know
I
what?
saw that in the.
And you know what? Boot from that hard drive. I'll tell you my little tip. The Mac is so fast, it's too fast. The hard drives that they come with are actually slowing it down, putting a faster hard drive in there. I ran it for a week with the original equipment, and then I put that new 10,000 RPM, noticeably faster boots, application launches, noticeably faster rendering. Everything that uses the hard drive was a lot faster. Absolutely.
And you can just interchange the hard drives that you had for the new one.
It's the easiest thing. I wish I had one here. You wouldn't believe how easy it is. You flip the latch, you open the hood. Inside, there are 4 or 5, I think 5 hardware drawers. You pull them out. You put a hard drive. It's got the thumb screws already. You screw the hard drive in. You don't need any cables, no wiring, no power supply. You slide it in. The connectors in the back. It automatically latches in. To swap the drives, you pull one out. Like that. It's easy. It couldn't be easier. If nothing else. You could argue, oh, Windows is better, the Dell XPS 700 is better, the Alienware. You could argue that, but you could not argue that the best industrial design in any PC is these new
Right.
Macs. They're beautiful, beautiful
Oh yeah,
machines.
it's a beautiful machine.
Oh,
I go
you
to
just
the
wanna-
Apple Store just to play with
Yeah, you just want to go, look at it.
it. Yeah.
So, I think for video editing, I think it's a no-brainer. Go Mac.
And what about that 30-inch screen? How do you like that?
Well, that's kind of expensive. It's $2,000, and I admit I bought it, and I love it, but it is expensive.
I know, $1,900.
Yeah,
but-
you might save some money if you look at the Dell 30-inch, which is compatible.
Right,
and
I saw your review on both of them.
I think a lot of people think the Dell is a better screen. It's certainly a less expensive screen. It has some additional features. Either one. If you can afford a screen, literally a screen this big, your video editing is great. The other way to go, and you might, I see if people do a lot of video editing, and you might want to do this, Sean, is 224s side by side.
That's what I do.
Yeah, because you have the video on one screen, but then you have all the controls on the other. It's actually an easier way to edit. Sometimes 2 screens lengthwise is better than one big screen.
And it's less expensive too.
Is it to get two 24s?
It can be, yes.
It's cheaper than one. It is, because the Dell at 24 is very reasonable. It's $800.
All right.
So maybe
And I know
that's a
the
better way to
Apple's
go.
About 9 something for
Yeah.
the 24.
So the Apple, two of them is about the same. The Dell, two of them is a little bit cheaper. So that you know, I'm going to kick myself. Because maybe I should have done that. I like the 30 though, boy.
Yeah, but that
everything's
30. I mean, it just the look, the eye candy is fantastic. I mean, the way it
Yeah,
looks.
if anybody ever visited me, they'd be impressed.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Jabulani, we got to run. It's great to talk to you.
It's great to talk to you after all these years, Leo. Keep up the good work. I hope they get you back in the U.S. because I missed that show. That show really opened my eyes to computers. I mean, before that, I was just nothing in computers.
You're gonna make
And
me
it
cry.
really opened my eyes. I used to watch it more than I watched any other shows.
I wish we were. It kills me that we don't do the screensavers each and every night. I miss all those guys, but that's life. Things move on. Thank you, Jabulani. I
Okay,
really
thank you
appreciate
too,
it.
Leo.
Have a good day.
Good wishes.
Thank you. You too. I'm very grateful to the folks up here at G4 Tech TV Canada who brought me up here. At least we're still doing Call for Help, and I love doing it. So, RSS, these syndicated feeds, a passing fad? Think again, my friend. Merlin Mann is coming up. The man from 43folders.com. We call him the Productionizer. He's up for RSS and taking it to the next level. You stick around. We'll be right back. Well, we got to start a little bit in prehistory. The RSS feed, originally created by Netscape, it standard for really simple syndication. It was a way for them to build their My Netscape homepage, not by creating their own content, but by pulling content from other pages. When people first saw this, they maybe were a little skeptical about it. It's kind of obscure, XML, RSS. Well, now everybody uses it. It's how podcasts work. Bloggers use it. Lots of people like Mike don't read web pages so much. They read RSS feeds in specially designed software that really is like making your own newspaper. RSS is just taken off. Let's talk about RSS right now with Merlin Mann. He's the king of productivity from 43folders.com. I'm not surprised to hear you like RSS.
I do like RSS.
What is the benefit?
Well, the nice thing about RSS, one way I like to put it is it's kind of having a website to go. You can have it where you want. Now, I agree with you. There's a lot of people who have gotten to a point where they read everything in an RSS reader.
Scoble once told me he reads over 2,000 feeds a day.
I think he subscribed to 2,000 feeds.
How could you read that?
To read that, yeah, I don't.
Knowing Scoble,
Yeah, he
he's
might.
He's kind of a real proselytizer for RSS. And,
That's right.
Yeah, and loves those feeds.
RSS, one thing that's nice about RSS is even when you use it in the kind of basic way that you're supposed to use it, which is to find out when there's headlines on stuff, it still lets you do stuff that would be hard to do with just a browser. For example, it's a great way to say, like, you could subscribe to 1,000 RSS feeds and say, just show me stuff related to, say, Apple Computer.
Maybe that's what he's doing. He's sifting
Yeah.
through all this.
It's a great way to do that. But one nice thing you can do today is I'm going to show you a little bit about how you might want to build your own little personal bat cave, a way to find out all the stuff that's happening in your world. Now, I'm not just talking about what's going on Slashdot and whether the new iPod will have a certain kind of hard drive. This is the stuff that bears directly upon your actual world.
The Batcave in the sense that when Batman went to the Batcave, he had kind of this dashboard with everything he needed to know, kind of
Yes.
all there on the dashboard.
And you're also going to have a young boy in a spandex suit. So that's
that's nice.
You can do that with RSS now.
That's a nice feature.
It's a nice feature, and
Yeah.
you'll have a poll. That
Very
you can
popular in Congress.
go down
these
as well.
days.
This
Yeah.
is so what we can do here. We're going to look at something I've used before, which is the Google. What do we call it? The Google IG. Have we decided what that means?
No, it's the worst name for a homepage, and yet I use it
Yeah.
because it's a very functional homepage.
One reason I love, to be honest, one reason I do these demos, it's really easy to use. It's really easy. It's easy to do stuff. So let's just start out with something really simple. Let's say that Leo wants to have his own little bat cave.
I do.
Yeah, one thing that's nice is it's really easy to add your own
Can I
content.
have the Catwoman instead of Robin, though?
I think that's every boy's Batcave idea, notion. I'm in Canada. I'm going to be polite.
Okay, thank you.
So the great thing is, this is one reason I love this, is you don't even have to know about RSS. You don't have to know what it means. All you need to know is that there's stuff out there that you can pull down that'll be interesting to you. So for example, we can just do a search on show me all this. So what I'm doing is I'm going to look for these little widgets of content.
That's what all
that are
these little
easy
squares are.
That's right. I could grab any of these. Well, I could say, for example, show me my Gmail account on this page.
So you've added that widget to your page now.
Right. This is a pretty kind of a straightforward straightforward usage
And
of
it's
this.
loading your mail.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I
can
use
see
that
my
one.
Gmail.
I
That's
use
a
the
pretty
weather one, too,
straightforward one.
actually. Yeah.
But I think I got to tell you, just in terms of, ironically enough, in terms of prior art, my friend Nelson, who used to work at Google, I think he basically invented Google. I'm not sure.
Did he
but I know
really?
said that.
Wow. Huh.
But he had a wonderful page he showed me one time to decide whether he wanted to go flying kites down by the water.
Yeah.
And he had made using all kinds of different things. He pulled together this page that would show climate and wind.
So
and
this was his
webcams.
personal bat
I
cave.
got the idea from him, so I'm kind of stealing it from Nelson.
Nelson's Batcave.
Nelson's Batcave.
It doesn't have
for
the same
kite flying.
ring.
No,
No.
it's not the same. But no, I just love this idea though of being able to have these little widgets that you can kind of pull in about stuff that's
Well,
interesting.
I have to look again at Google IG because I didn't realize. Look at all these widgets. They've
There's a
added
lot.
quite a few.
There's really a lot of stuff here. Some exciting. I mean, again, some of the more obvious uses might be to say, pull in some local news and so forth. Let's take a look at a usage that I just pulled together a little bit ago to show you.
You can drag these around too.
That's
You
right.
can
Oh yeah, this is a
rearrange
great
these.
thing. They're very easy.
Look at that.
All that Ajax magic. Let me show you the Batcave I've made for myself.
Merlin's Batcave.
Yeah,
This
so
I'd
I
like to see.
live in San Francisco, and boy, is this ever crufty looking. This could almost be a MySpace page if it was blinking and begging for affection. The idea here is I want a really quick way to see what's going on in my world.
You
So
can
I
see
live
how
in
the
San
traffic
Francisco. I can see what the
is.
traffic is on the Golden Gate Bridge. This is all being refreshed automatically.
How much
I can
fog we
see
got?
weather radar, and I can see the traffic in
Oh,
my
look at
in
that.
my
That's
neighborhood.
neat.
And
That's
because
really
again, it's Google Magic, I have the ability to move this map around, and all that stuff happens. This is a wonderful little
I want a
website.
Batcave.
This is a great little website called Community Walk, where you can go and actually, using Google Maps, create walks that you want to take. And it enables you to kind of move through it. This is my little San
is-
Francisco
this is your
neighborhood.
walk.
That's right. And of course, he has all of the Google goodness that you have come to expect. You can have the little hybrid maps. I can
You
see
know
my
where the
moon
Starbucks
phase.
is halfway
That's right.
down the
Pulls
road.
it all up.
Oh, look, it's pretty.
And so depending on the kind of stuff that you need to see, this is just a really fast way to make yourself a little kind of personal dashboard. And I'll tell you why I love this. Personally, I'm a Mac user. I haven't even owned a PC in a while. But a lot of folks out there, they're using Windows at work. They've got a Mac at home. They're moving around. They're traveling.
But this is the same Windows and Mac. Or
That's right.
Linux.
That's the beauty of this. You go into a hotel lobby. You're going to look up this information on the
Right.
little borrowed computer. Wherever you go, this stuff is out there and secure for you
That's
to look
neat.
at.
You just log into your Google account and then go to google.com/IG, and that'll be your page.
It's all in there. Your Gmail's here, and I guess, gosh, now you can have spreadsheets.
I've got to customize mine. Mine's so boring. I just have a few
Yeah.
RSS feeds. I really need and some weather, and I have a Wikipedia search thing, and that's it.
That's
the
it.
quote of the day. That's kind of fun. The vocabulary word of the day. That kind
Terrific. They got a new French toast maker. Have you seen that?
of stuff. I'd love to get
It's
that.
got a-
That'd be
it's-
nice. Can
It's
I
got
have
an
waffles?
extensible powdered sugar plug-in that you can get. It's fully dynamic, Ajax enabled, and I believe it validates as XML. So
Oh, I thought you were going to say validates parking, because I
Validates
could
parking.
really use that.
parking validator. Just quickly.
Usually
Might
with
be
French
in.
toast you get validation, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, could be.
So the best thing to do is really to sign up for Google if you don't have an account. Most people do by now.
Yeah, there's a couple quick steps you can do. I mean, one way that I like to use this, I mean, to me, there's like a couple different viewports into this, kind of horizontal and vertical. One is to go and say, okay, I want to go in and I want to find more content about the stuff that interests me. So it could
So
be.
how are we going to search?
I want to just go
Okay.
find stuff about
So there's
sports.
enough widgets so you can actually search through these widgets.
Oh, there's tons of these things. So start out talking about sports, but then you might also just want to go vertical. You might want to say, I just want to learn stuff about, for example, Seattle.
You can also tab these pages, so you could have a page for each team, or
I love this. This is
Seattle
something that
page.
Yahoo, my Yahoo, has let you do for a long time, but this is very powerful. So, for example, if you wanted to just have an area with your business stuff,
Right.
or just, let's say, let me just show you quickly how to do this. I don't know if you can see on this on screen. I'm
Add a
clicking on
tab.
Add a Tab.
Yeah.
And so I might want to go in here and say, trip to Halifax, and enter that.
Are we all going to Halifax?
We're going to Halifax.
All right.
They have a Sloan tour. You can actually go to their homes, meet their teachers.
Oh, wouldn't that be
Terrific.
fun? Oh,
And they
I'd
have
love
like
to do
I
that.
think they have a Sloan Babies show now.
Is
Little
Geddy
Jay
Lee in
and,
that in
Geddy-
any way?
I don't know if Geddy's in that.
No.
I'll find out. I'm going to search Google. So anyway, I can go in here now and I can just go do a search on Halifax and see what comes up. This is a great way to be able to just pull together a lot of quick
There's
information.
not going to be any Halifax.
I bet
widgets.
there's going to be tons of Halifax
Oh my
widgets.
gosh, there is.
Ooh, I'm Leo, and sometimes I'm not always right.
Sometimes I'm just trying to give the guest a little feed here, a little help, a little,
Oh,
a little,
man, I'm
you know,
drowning
a little
here.
juice here. That's all. I'm just trying to help you out.
Susquehanna Hat Company.
Slowly
I turn.
Okay.
It's all in there.
Merlin Mann, besides being a madman, is a published writer as well as the we don't say where, but he's a published writer. Hustler or Jugs? Which was it?
Actually, I have a
Self-published?
column in Gent.
Gent. Okay. Also, the creator and editor of 43folders.com to get more. Actually, in all seriousness, a wonderful site. I highly recommend it. I visit every day. I learn something every single day from 43folders.com. You'll find more on our show notes. Callforhelptv.com. Now, time for our next tech quiz question of the day. What did William Gibson use to write the classic science fiction novel Neuromancer? Was it an Apple II, an IBM 5150, a Commodore Super Pet, or a manual typewriter? Go to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it when Call for Help continues. Welcome back to Call for Help. I just want to apologize. Sometimes Merlin and I get in this kind of weird thing where we just start talking and it never stops. And I hope we didn't confuse you all, but it is Google IG is really cool. What do you use, Callie, for a homepage? Do you have a tool you use?
Actually, we were just talking about this during the break. You were saying you have Google IG,
Right.
but you don't use it much, and I'm the same way. I have it.
It's my homepage, but I haven't updated it.
Yeah, I sort of, anytime I actually get to the homepage by opening up a browser, I'm
Right.
ready to check email, so I just go straight there.
Right,
So.
right. It's nice to have, though. And
It
we've looked
is.
at, there's Page Flakes, there's Net Vibes. There are now a lot of these Ajax-y homepage, ProtoPage.
Oh, I love ProtoPage.
Isn't ProtoPage great?
Yeah.
Yeah, Andre Perry's wonderful site. These are all designed to do kind of the same thing, giving you a very customizable homepage. We should do some more segments on those because it really is a personal thing. It's funny though, after using all of those, and I used NetVibes for a while and I used PageFlex for a while, I went back to Google IG of all
Yeah.
things. Doesn't have a good name, but it does the job. Who is our caller of the day now?
Michael from Melbourne, Victoria.
Michael from Melbourne. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Leo. Hello, Kelly. It's Michael.
Hi.
Welcome to Call for Help.
Thank you very much for taking my phone call.
Well, we're very pleased to. What can we do for you?
Well, I've had an ongoing sort of problem that's been a bit of a pain to me for a while. I've got a slow 400 meg Celeron with a gigabyte motherboard and an Award BIOS.
Okay.
It had Windows NT installed on it,
Oh, yeah.
and it was working fine, starting up and shutting down correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And when looking through the device manager, the PC was identified as a ACPI uniprocessor
Right.
with no other errors being displayed.
Right.
I decided to install SP4, and that's when things changed. The computer still worked fine,
Right.
but it wouldn't shut down correctly.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
And the device manager identified it now as being a standard PC.
That's right. That's right. And that's why it won't shut down. It cannot, the ACPI is the Advanced Control and Power Interface or Configuration and Power Interface. It is a modern feature of newer computers. NT is an older operating system, but the idea was it allows an operating system to control the power-saving features of the computer, which, by the way, includes sleep and shutdown.
Yep.
So it's critical. In fact, on XP, when you install XP, part of the install process is to go out and query the hardware, say, do you support ACPI? How do you support it? And the XP kernel, believe it or not, is different depending on what kind of computer you have. It's an ACPI kernel or not. So on XP, if you mung it up, if you get the wrong kernel, you have to reinstall. I mean, you can try to change the kernel in place, but it's very tricky. It's usually easiest just to reinstall. I'm not sure, and this is where I might fall down for you, but I believe NT, it's just a driver. So what probably happened was when you went to the update, it either looked at the system and said, oh, you're not an ACPI system, and chose the wrong settings, or they changed the driver or modified the driver. There isn't, you can go online, you can go to Microsoft, and you can get the ACPI.sys driver. And that is the key. The real problem is that ACPI is implemented variously on, and you have an older system where it was really unpredictable how ACPI would behave. And this was one of the symptoms, was sometimes the operating system would get confused whether you even had ACPI. So you hit the nail on the head when you looked at the system properties. You got it exactly right. It doesn't think it's an ACPI computer. It's not going to shut it down. It's going to do the, okay, I'm ready, you can turn me off now thing.
Yeah, now I've got to go to the wall to turn it off.
Yeah, that's
and
a real pain.
The other thing with it is when you start it up, it goes through the, starts at the post, gives the one beep as it normally would, but then it continues to just beep, beep, beep well into the operating system starting.
Okay.
Continuous beeping.
That's not a good sign.
No.
What I would do now, I think there is other issues. It maybe you have some bad drivers. Those beeps are saying something's gone wrong as I boot up, as I load these, and that's when the ACPI.sys is loaded. I think, you know, and I'm kind of guessing. It's been a while since I've used plain old is NT4.
Yeah, it was, but just so that you don't sort of spend too much time on NT4, I thought earlier on this year I'd blow NT4 away and I installed XP Pro.
Oh, so it's doing that with XP too?
Yeah, as well as, yes.
Interesting.
And I didn't upgrade. I low-level formatted the hard disk and just went from scratch.
Did it ever work with XP?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I think in that case that it's not identifying as ACPI hardware. That's not strictly true. It is ACPI hardware because it worked once as ACPI, but it's not close enough to the spec for XP to interpret it that. So here's your one thing you could do is go into the BIOS, make sure ACPI is enabled.
Yep.
It's in the setup. It is enabled.
Yes, it is, yeah.
All right. Then I think you're basically out of luck. You can reinstall XP and cross your fingers this time that it'll say, hey, you're ACPI. But I think the real problem is it's just not close enough. The specs was so. Let me see if Sean has this thought. The specs in the earlier machines were just really all over the place. It was very poor support.
Yeah, and what might be an option in this case is going to the manufacturer of the motherboard and downloading updated drivers.
Maybe a firmware update?
Maybe an updated BIOS, and that might help make it more standard.
Okay.
Let's get the latest of everything anyway. If they've updated it, and Gigabyte's pretty good about putting out updates. So I would look at new firmware, and you're right, motherboard drivers, to see if you could at least get it closer to spec. It may require an XP reinstall. This may be one of those things where you're chasing your tail, Michael. You do a lot of work and it still doesn't work. But those are the things you need to do.
What we actually end up doing now, we go into the room, we turn the computer on, we go outside, come back in 5 minutes, and the noise has gone away.
Yeah, all those beepings. I just leave it on. I mean, nowadays XP, you don't really have to reboot it. I just leave it on. What the heck? It's not drawing that much power.
No, all right then.
Michael, I'm so glad you're watching Melbourne.
Thank you very much for that. And I enjoy your show and also the Security Now show. I've just come into podcasting fairly late for the last 2 months, but I'm getting right into the swing of things.
Wonderful.
Much appreciated.
We're glad to have you as a listener. We have lots of good audio podcasts at twit.tv. I do Security Now with Steve Gibson. You see on this show regularly and a lot of other stuff. Thank you. It's so nice to have you as a listener and a viewer, Michael.
Thank you very much, Leo.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have you ever wished you could program your own TV channel or your own radio station with just the stuff you like? This is another RSS feed tip. Callie Lewis from Geek Brief TV is going to show you how to create your very own custom feed. Coming up when we continue. Stay right here. Welcome back to Call for Help. In the world of traditional broadcast television channels, or even this is true of radio station channels, they're programmed by professionals. They decide what you're going to listen to at what times, and you better stick with it. Well, we are on the internet, and we don't have to listen or watch anything we don't want to. We don't have to be tied down to a schedule. We can watch what we want, when we want it. That's one of the things I love about podcasting, video and audio podcasts. But wouldn't it be nice if you could create a channel that had more than one show, a variety of shows, Geek Brief TV and Command N? You can. Callie Lewis is here from geekbrief.tv. Now, I know you probably would want to say, only watch my show 24 hours a day.
No, not at all.
No.
It's only 3 minutes, so it's only 3 to 5 minutes. So, that's the great thing. Everybody, there's so much content out there and so much entertainment out there. But so I want to be able to create my own tech TV from the good old days.
You can, really.
And you can, yes, because all you guys are out there.
Thanks to Podshow, you can do it. So this is podshow.com.
Yes, podshow.com, and you can sign up for a free account. And this is in the My Collection tab here. Okay, and this is Callie's collection. So down
here, these are
here,
things you would listen to.
These are things I would listen to.
Look,
These
it even has
are
a
my
program
two
guide.
channels, right? My Tech TV, and just for fun, just things that I like to listen to. So already I have DLTV, This Week
That's
in Tech,
Patrick's show,
Command In,
my show,
Dignation,
Amber's
and
show,
Cranky Geeks.
Kevin's show, Dvorak's show.
I'm a good suck-up, right?
You're good. You're hired. And then the stuff you actually listen to, Dawn and Drew, Tiki Bar, Stars Hollow. You told me about Stars Hollow. I cannot wait to hear it. I'm not a Gilmore Girls
Yeah.
fan. In fact, I've never watched the show, but it sounds like it's a great podcast.
It is a
so I
great
can't wait to
show
listen to
and
it.
a great podcast.
Yeah.
So
Ask a Ninja.
this
So-
is all stuff I listen to. So what I want to do
What's
is
interesting, you mix video and audio. It doesn't matter.
exactly.
It can be
It
both.
doesn't matter,
Okay.
right? This I want to add, say, Geek Brief because it's the child
it
of Tech
should
TV.
be in there.
You guys were our inspiration.
Really? Is that
so-
true?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I told you.
Oh, that's kind of neat. I like that. I know, but I can hear it again. I can stand hearing it again. So you and Neil watched Tech TV
We
in our
did.
heyday.
Yeah.
And so when the time came to do your own podcast, you said, well, we should do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, when we decided to do Geek Brief, we sort of watched and paid attention to all the gadget blogs and everything, so we kind of knew
Yeah.
we wanted to do something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But
Where's
you,
your niche?
you were a huge inspiration to
That's
us.
good. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's great.
Okay,
She was
so-
12 when she watched it.
So I want to add a show. This is a directory, like I said. So you can. Some shows aren't going to be on there. Some shows will be. So if I'll go over here and this.
But you don't have to, you could add a show, right?
You can add a show, right? This is my show, and all you have to do. This is my page on podshow.com.
Mm-hmm.
So all you have to do is get it, and then add it to my Tech
Well, they've done this
TV.
very nicely. That's really easy.
And if I go over here, it'll be added. I'm just refreshing the page here.
And now it's in your list. Now, what happens
There
with
it is.
this? Does it? How do you listen?
Well, okay. Let me show you one more thing before
Okay,
we do that,
okay.
because if something isn't listed
Oh yeah, yeah.
in
How do you add
Podshow,
something that's not on Podshow?
if you go to advanced options right here, you can do an OPML or you can do a URL to a podcast.
So a lot of times when you're on a podcast site, they'll have a little RSS button. You just right-click
exactly.
that, get the
like
link.
Lab Rats right here. Just grab that feed, copy the link location,
and then
put
paste
that
it in.
in.
So
choose My Tech
anything that
TV.
has a feed, you can add. So now you've
Exactly.
added Lab Rats to My Tech TV.
Exactly. So it's very simple and easy. So then when I want to listen, I just click there. So the downloader preferences, you can choose where you want to send it to. So you can listen to it or watch them in Podshow, or you can send it to iTunes.
So this
or you can-
downloader actually does it for you.
Exactly. So you can also get the raw XML too, so that you
Look
can
at that.
do whatever
it
you
just
need
subscribed
to.
to me right in there.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? They've done a nice job of this. That's
have.
really great. And so now you'll have it'll download
Where'd it
the
go?
show. Well, it got
It's in there
absorbed in there somewhere. Yeah, it's alphabetical, so it's probably down lower. But so it's now part of your regular downloads,
Right.
and you'll be getting those shows from now on.
Yeah.
What a nice idea. So that's at podshow.com. It's a free to sign up for an
Podshow.com,
account.
very free.
Very free. Couldn't be cheaper.
Right.
It's absolute zero free. Neat. Thank you for that. Yeah, and
Okay.
Callie is a part of Podshow, of course, appears in the directory. She, in fact, appears with us courtesy of her own podcast, geekbrief.tv, which you can see on the web at geekbrief.tv
Right.
or on the Podshow podcast network.
Geekbrief.podshow.com.
There
Either
you
way.
go. And create your feed. And the first thing in it should be geekbrief.tv.
Or Twit.
Nah, we got enough listeners. Don't listen to Twitch. Visit callforhelptv.com for all the details, all the information, and the ways to do it. Let's take a look at the control room. As we take a break, when we come back, we'll take another call. Don't you go away. Welcome back to Call for Help. Are you looking for a super easy way to sync up all the data on your desktops, on your USB keys, on your portable drives, and everything else? Well, look no farther. We've got Michael Sherlock Homeboy Lazazara on the case from the West Side. He's found a slick piece of syncing software, and it's free.
That's right, brother. Props.
Props to my homies.
That's right.
Raising the roof.
Raising the roof. That's
Couple
so
of-
sad.
couple of
That
bad
is so
white
sad.
boys.
Okay, so
This is Good Sync.
It's called Good Sync, and I'd love to encourage people to back up their documents because
I do.
I've had more than my fair shares
Have you
of
lost?
documents. I erased my entire My Documents folder one day, and
bad.
luckily I had a backup only a week ago, so I lost about 10 documents, but that was okay because I didn't lose everything. Right?
One of the advantages of a program like this is it runs in the background. You don't have to think about it. It just does it for you.
Absolutely, and if you use something like a portable hard drive or or something like that, you can plug it in. Let's say you did it every Saturday night or something like that. You plug in your hard drive. You run it yourself manually, or you can do it by itself.
Right.
And then you can have all your data backed up.
Now, I've recommended for a long time something called Second Copy from Centered Systems. It's not free. Microsoft has their Sync Toy, which is a good program. It's free, but has some limitations.
Yep.
So how does this stack up?
Well, this works very well, actually. It does all the same kind of jobs. You can have different patterns for it. It also has a paid upgrade, which is a good sign in terms of when you get freeware, because then you know that they're not going to invest spyware, put something in there. They're offering a legitimate product.
Right.
So, for instance, in this case, I've selected my documents folder, and I'm going to select, let's say...
This is, you're going to choose what to back up.
Yeah, this exactly. This is a source files.
Source, they call it. Okay.
This is what you're going to do. And then even a little tooltip says, okay, now you got to select where you want to put it.
So that's destination.
That's a destination, so you're going to select, and I'm just going to go...
This is where you'd select. Could you do a CD-ROM?
You could do a CD-ROM, except for you'd have to have a CD-ROM in there.
Right, and a
when you do
driver
it.
that allowed you to write to it.
Yeah.
Most likely you do a USB key, or you would do probably, most likely, an external hard drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The one cool thing about this program too, it also allows versioning. So it actually versions the backups you do. So it doesn't actually replace the backups you do. It just makes extra
Perfect.
copies of them, so that you can
always
go
go
back
back in time.
to something that you might have written before.
We do this on almost always on all our TV show machines. We have 2 hard drives, and we're always kind of keeping them in sync so that you never lose anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great way to work.
So you can click Analyze. It just goes through all the things, making sure all the files, if
that's
they exist,
nice.
do they not exist?
Tells us what it's going to do before it does.
It tells you what to do. Then you can click Synchronize when it's finished doing all the report, and it'll sync up the 2 folders.
What do I get if I pay for it?
You get a few extra features in terms of scheduling, some advanced scheduling
See,
features.
scheduling is nice. Does this schedule
it
at all?
It does some basic scheduling, but
Okay.
you can do some advanced ones in terms of
Right.
if you want to do, only backup if a file has changed in a certain way, and you can do extra little things like that.
I've recommended Sync Toy for a while, but it's so limited. I think I'm going to have to start recommending this. It's called Good Sync. It's absolutely free. If you want a link, there's a good link.
Yep, they can visit our free file archive.
Yeah, we got them all in there. Callforhelptv.com. And how did you find this? Did somebody send it to you?
No, I think I just
You just dug it up on your own? But you wouldn't.
Via an RSS feed, Leo.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you wouldn't be adverse if a viewer wanted to send you one.
No,
No,
absolutely
that'd be
not.
okay, right?
That would be absolutely amazing.
How would they do that?
Well, I think they can do it with the keyboard, and they can email me.
The keyboard.
With the keyboard, and they can.
Okay.
I think it's Mike at callforhelptv.com.
Would they require electricity? As long as we're going back that far.
Yeah, well, what, battery backup would be a good idea
Okay.
too, just in case the power goes out while you're emailing me. You know.
Wouldn't want to lose that. Mike at what?
Callforhelptv.com.
That's who we are. And if you want to find more help, tips, and of course free files, callforhelptv.com. I have been waiting for this for a while. Sean Carruthers took my challenge. I threw down the gauntlet, so he picked it up, gave it back to me. But then I said, Sean, which is faster, running Photoshop for Macintosh on an Intel Mac or running Photoshop for Windows on an Intel Mac? We've got the benchmarking numbers, and the answer may surprise you. Sean Carruthers with the results. Right after we give you one more chance to take our next tech quiz question of the day. What did William Gibson use to write his seminal science fiction novel, Neuromancer, the one that created the concept of cyberspace? Was it Apple II, IBM 5150, Commodore Super Pet, or a manual typewriter? Go to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it when Call for Help continues.
Hey, wait a minute, Robin. You said it's cool it. Chill.
Welcome back to Call for Help. Before the break, we asked you, what did William Gibson use to write the classic science fiction novel Neuromancer? I mean, this was the novel about how the computer cyberspace revolution was going to change the world. What did he write it on? A manual typewriter. A manual typewriter. It's kind of hard to believe, isn't it? Actually, I know that because I interviewed William Gibson and I asked him, and he said, I like the typewriter. The weird thing is Neil Stephenson, who wrote Snow Crash and Cryptonomicon, wrote a very long novel, the Quicksilver Trilogy, and he wrote it with quill pen and ink on paper. I kid you not. In fact, if you go to the Science Fiction Museum in Seattle, they have a stack of paper. They have the ink that he used, the nibs that he used. He went through quite a bit of ink.
That's a lot of writing.
It's a huge novel. It's huge.
Is that Steve Gibson's brother?
Mel Gibson?
No, that guy, William Gibson.
William Gibson is not Steve Gibson's brother. No. He's Mel Gibson's brother. Many people don't know that. When Apple moved to the he's not. When Apple moved to the Intel processor in January 2006, some of their software partners were caught a little bit off guard, apparently including Adobe. Adobe Photoshop still still isn't what they call universal. That is compatible with both the old PowerPC processors and the new Intel chips. But, of course, you can still run it using Apple's Rosetta technology, and you can run your Windows version of Photoshop on Parallels or Boot Camp using Windows on a new Mac machine. So I've been wondering, and I'm so glad you took up the gauntlet on this. Sean Carruthers, our lab rat, is here. What would be the best way, assuming that you had all of the software and you could take your choice, what would be the best way to run Photoshop, the fastest way to run Photoshop on an Intel Mac?
Well, using the Windows version, oddly enough.
Is it?
Yeah, I had a chance to talk with Adobe recently about just this, and the code itself has been optimized for Intel processors for a while. The Windows version has always run faster than the Mac version.
Anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of Mac users didn't know this because they're using Mac production machines. They haven't been using Windows for their production environment.
So if you had a Windows machine next to a Mac, both running Photoshop native, even on the G5s, it would be faster on an Intel.
It would be faster on a Windows machine on the Intel.
Oh, don't tell Mac people that. They're going to get upset. Well, now the question is in emulation, which is fastest?
Right. The good news is that when it does become universal, it should be early next year, it'll just fly.
It'll be the fastest of either?
It'll be the fastest of any of these numbers that we have.
And that's early next year?
It'll be early next year.
Photoshop CS3, we'll all be waiting with bated breath for that.
Right. So I did a few things to test out the various number crunching abilities of Photoshop.
Well, that's part of the problem is there's no suite of Photoshop tests. You just have to try different things.
Yeah, we tried a few things. There's the one thing I asked Alex Lindsay a while back, what's the most CPU intensive thing that you can do on Photoshop? And he suggested radial blur.
Radial blur, okay.
So what we did
It's a lot of calculation.
We took an image and it applied a blur to the image in with an algorithm. So when you do that with this is the time. I measured all these in seconds, and the numbers beside these bars are the minutes and seconds.
So shorter is better.
Shorter is better. So when you did it in Mac OS X using Rosetta, it's not bad. It's a little bit longer in Parallels.
Interesting. Actually, quite a bit longer. So Parallels is not a good choice.
It's not a good choice for that particular test.
Okay.
And when you go over to Boot Camp and just actually run it as Windows, it actually cuts that down to 50 seconds. So it's not a huge amount faster, but enough.
You know what's missing here, it's too bad, but we didn't really have time to do it, is a G5 native version of it as well, just to see how fast it was on G5. But I'd say it's probably somewhere in between the Rosetta Red and the Windows Green.
Right. So the next one we did was something called Contact Sheet, which takes a directory of photographs and arranges them, resizes them all. And so this is an automated script. It'll actually go over a period of time. So the Rosetta one took a long time, about 7 minutes, and running either version of the Windows, whether it's in emulation or natively,
much faster,
cuts it down substantially.
That's running a script, and I'm wondering if that's because the script isn't very optimized on the Mac at all anyway.
Possibly, but a lot of that is the number crunching because it's resizing.
Oh, it is doing a lot of number crunching. Okay.
Again, picture package, same sort of thing. 21 minutes to do that same batch, and basically stamp them with a watermark and resize them. Going to a web gallery, same sort of thing. When not so much of a difference between Parallels and Boot Camp in this case.
It's really true that what you're doing is makes a difference. Not everything is the same.
Right. And I also did Illustrator as well. We showed off a feature earlier on the show called Live Trace, where you take a photograph and turn it into a vector image.
Right.
And again, the Rosetta was not very good, about 5 minutes for this.
Parallels won this one. The first one it's won.
Parallels won that one, but I mean that's within statistic probability there. It could. It's probably about the same Parallels or Boot Camp.
Right. So the bottom line is, if you're going to run Windows on a Mac these days, the best way would be running it in Boot Camp. The next best way would be in Parallels. The least desirable way, by far for some applications, is to run it just on the Intel chip with Rosetta emulation.
Right.
The standard way to do it.
What you have to do now is balance out what you want to do, because if you buy Windows and you buy the Windows version of that, that can be pretty expensive. It may be more worthwhile just to wait for CS3 to come out.
I already have Windows and I already have Photoshop for Windows, so now I know what I'm going to be doing.
There you go.
I'm going to be eliminating my Photoshop CS2 from the Mac and start using it in Windows. And when CS3 comes out, we expect it'll be much faster, but we'll get you the benchmarks when that happens, sometime in 2007.
Yes, we'll do that. Sean
Carruthers, our resident lab rat and the co-host with our beloved Andy Walker of the Lab Rats video podcast at labrats.tv. This place is full of podcasters. Actually, I think it's wonderful. If you want to see all the numbers on Photoshop versus Photoshop, you got a snapshot of his results over at callforhelptv.com. We'll snap up this show for our final segment right after this commercial break. Stay right there. so glad you were here today. Hey, I want to say one thing before we end this show. Come here, Snowball. This is Snowball's 100th episode. He's our beloved intern. He does the prompter for us. Steve Saylor is his real name. You might see him online. And Snowball, you have your own podcast, too.
Yes,
and you don't have a mic, so you can't tell anybody what it is, but whisper it into my ear. SnowballsPC.com. I'll give you a little plug for your 100th episode. Now get the heck out of here. Go get me a cappuccino. Callie Lewis. He's great. He's our faithful, alert,
He's awesome.
Faithful,
available, and teachable intern. Hey, we would love to get you on the show. All you got to do is go to callforhelptv.com and click the link that says Ask a Question. We can't answer your questions personally, but we will answer those we can on the show. If you've got a problem with your personal diffuser,
Don't whine.
don't moan.
Don't yell.
What do you do, Callie?
You call Leo.
You call for help. That's right. We'll see you later. Call Leo, Leo, one or the other.